Yes, well, there was a difference. With the snails, we had the opportunity to run away. With that creature, I found myself overwhelmed. I gave in to panic rather easily, and I
Rather
worked
easily.
very
Would
hard.
not. I would not say rather easily. Zafir can hold his own, but we were all in a very grave situation. Any one of us could have died at any moment. If we were, if we weren't all able to evaporate from the thin air itself, we more more than one of us probably would have died.
Yes. Um, she gives a more almost bitter smile at that. Yes, quite. Um, However, I'm a woman of faith, and I try very hard to make sure that I am trusting Amada with my fate rather than leaning on my own strength or falling prey to my own fears or anger. And very recently, I have been finding myself overcome by anger and fear more easily than I had in the past couple years.
Well,
That
from
that realization stung a bit, and unfortunately, I feel I reacted inappropriately toward those around me. Mm, Sorry if I had you to consent.
well, a few things about that is that one, I hope you don't continue to feel overwhelmed. Um, Two, it is important to have faith and to be strong in that faith. I am not a religious man myself, but that applies to many things in life. Um, but it is also important to remember that you are also strong in yourself. To be able to rely on yourself as well is not necessarily a bad thing. There is a difference between leaning on someone or a god or goddess and there's being able to stand on your own feet and stand side by side with them. They should be there to, how do I say? They should be there to help you up, not hold you by the collar because you cannot stand. Does that make sense?
Uh, it does. Um, and Liberty's stare starts to get far away, and then doesn't quite go blank, but does kind of get a bit unreadable. Like she's starting to withdraw a bit from the conversation. Yes, no, I am aware. That is part of the reason I went to the temple was to stop and reorient myself.
Of course. Um, One other thing. Uh, your concern seems to stem. I'm assuming it's from when you used that spell, and it's probably not worth much coming from myself. It probably wouldn't be worth much coming from Rin either. It is probably a bit more noticeable to you by now that the magic that we use is maybe not the most well perceived amongst others. Um, not as to say we.
There is no change in expression.
That is not to say that we are in the cult or believe in such dark arts, but sources of magic can come from many different regions, and I have seen darker ones, and I'm sure he's seen darker well beyond that. Um, my point is that using something that's more within the gray area is. I'm saying do not be as hard on yourself, especially using such magic on whatever that Chakur was down there, because that was not human, and I think to that extent, it's a bit more lenient. I certainly wouldn't cast Lightning Bolt at my nearest friend. Something like that, I wouldn't hesitate. Although I did end up casting it on myself, so I
Expression is
suppose to an extent I'm a little bit in the clear. Darian looks at his arm a little bit or he doesn't look at his arm, but he starts absent-mindedly rubbing his arm as he's started taken to doing.
the expression remains neutral. I appreciate your words of comfort, Darian.
I'm not very
And
good at it,
I
but
do
I
not,
do try. So
it is not something that is often found in books as much as in experience and practice. And I do
quite.
not regret that monster's death. I just wish I were more in control of my emotions when I had when I fought it.
Well, um, look at Zephyr. Some of his best fighting, obviously, comes when he welcomes.
Liberty starts to raise her hand and cut him off. Darian, I appreciate what you are trying to do. I appreciate the desire to comfort. I am fine.
Okay.
If this becomes more troublesome, if I feel that it is getting out of hand, I may come to you and Rin for more clarity or advice later. But for now, you do not need to try so hard. I mostly need to get back to work.
Of course. I've just had a lot on my mind as of late. Um,
Understandable?
Speaking of Rin, I know you're in this house somewhere.
Rin
Please
strolls
don't
in
make me
wearing a
find you.
pair of overalls, a straw hat, and eating and with a pair of with a stalk of wheat.
The straw.
Rin, what the hell are you wearing?
I have no
I've
idea
never
what you're
seen such
talking
clothing
about.
before. Are those comfortable in this heat? The weather.
Did you find the
Why
goat you
would
were looking
anyone wear
for?
it?
What are you talking about? Why would I be looking for a goat?
Darian looks pointedly at Liberty because he knows that she's not messing with him. He knows that he did say that to her.
I believe Darian is referring to when you said you were going to see a man about a goat.
You see, that's different than looking for a goat. I'm looking for a man, not a goat. God, why is everything you say so hard to understand?
Darian just shakes his head and is pinching the bridge of his nose.
Careful, you'll give
Liberty
yourself
just
more age lines.
Liberty just mumbles under her breath. Remember the different types of common.
Yes, but he manipulates that to his advantage. It gets
Well, who
tiresome.
doesn't enjoy a wee bit of wordplay?
Um, well, I've obviously been doing quite a lot of thinking recently. Have either of you thought about our
You
next
haven't hurt
steps?
yourself, did you?
She does hesitate for half a second longer than she should for such a question. You're very funny today.
I can't help
I
it. It's
don't.
state of mind.
Fair enough. I don't know about either of you, but I am already feeling frustrated with the most recent missions we have undertaken for Keeper Najin. My
Why is that?
understanding, my understanding when we first made agreement with her was that we would be actively working to take down the slave trade, emancipate slaves that are currently being held captive. And so far, she has sent us off to collect items for coin and to help her in irritating or the recent jobs have been political or financial. I'm not really interested in Thieves Guild politics. I am more interested in helping people who cannot help themselves. I don't mind that we help the child in the well. I don't care for the crystal. Not interested in her war against them or her need to control this port or keep it out of the hands of her rivals. I would like to see us.
Tell me,
Or I
Liberty,
would
how
like.
much do you know about how the slave trade works?
I know that it operates a little bit differently on different levels. I've seen the way a variety of slaves have been treated. I have not seen much from the owner's point of view, if that is what you're referring to.
Not in the slightest. Do you know how it operates? I'll give you a hint. Most of it's out of the port. So if the Thieves Guild controls the port, guess what's not running through there? People's lives. I'm not saying that that she isn't doing the tax she's been giving us aren't politically or monetarily motivated, but they are not, for lack of a better term, they are not without reason. Now, I'm not saying I'm not open to doing some extracurriculars, and at this point, this is the first time you've actually seen Rin's face do this, but it goes just completely like mask-like. I've actually had some thought on how to go about hastening our goals. However, you are all not required to follow me down that particular path.
I'm willing to hear you out on this strategy.
What are your thoughts on our current overlords, for lack of a better term?
Are you suggesting that we overthrow the government?
Absolutely.
We're
That
going
is
to need
a
some rubber ducks. No.
And that's where the rubber ducks
what?
come in, you see. No, I'm kidding.
What?
That's a callback.
Okay. That is a long
Far
road.
more ambitious.
I never said it would be easy.
Well, you're chaotic, not stupid.
I'm so glad to see that you're finally getting a better picture of things.
Hi, Em. Love you too.
I am.
Hola!
Did you tell her that I love her? What's wrong with you?
Well, get on it.
Just tell her.
He's counting on his fingers and talking to himself for the viewers at home.
He just told me no. Rude.
Probably.
How dare you? Did you bite your thumb at me?
Oh my god, how rude.
Do you bite your thumb at us, sir?
Okay, we can only take this Shakespearean rabbit hole so far. I'm jumping off this train.
It's not a train, it's a rabbit hole.
You said there can't be a train
Have
in
you
the
watched Alice in Wonderland? It could be both. This is the quality D&D content that you've all tuned in for.
Yeah,
Yes.
welcome to Nerd Alert Central.
Hey, it's episode 10. If they're still here, there's a reason for it. Jacob's trapped in a box.
Jacob is turned into a mime. Someone help. Someone shoot him. He's too far gone.
No, don't do it. A mime is a terrible thing to waste.
I
just watched his
I know how to get him to turn his
inside.
I know how to get him to turn his mic back on.
Don't. I already just started adding hit points or damage points. Please.
No, but I got his attention, so that's half credit for me.
Kelso, don't toy with fate.
I'll moon the
I'm
camera.
toying with fate. I'm toying with a god. There's a difference.
It's
Oh my god, he just turned on fight music.
for those of you
I may have it a little
on
too
Spotify, the battle music has been triggered.
Anyways,
Yeah, sorry, that was
where were we?
Okay.
We were in
Rin was
Soldier.
suggesting overthrowing the not for
All right, yes, attacking, dethroning God.
Yes. Odin hefts his spear.
I'm sorry. Are you talking about the Emir and the Sultan? One or the
Aye.
other?
¿Por qué no los dos?
I'm sorry, I don't.
Why not the two?
I'm assuming you would intend to start with the Emir, given the way they run things.
It does not matter.
I don't know. Look, I agree with Liberty to an extent. I don't care about the politics of rival gangs, things of that nature. It is, but I understand the importance of the last two that we have done. The stone, the crystal, the port. I get it. That is important, and like you said, that's where business is done. If business is not done, then there is less slavery in the city. That is an important win for them. But to Liberty's credit, I agree that overall, other missions and jobs like that aren't really relevant don't hold as much interest.
I think that I personally would be of more use adding positive to people's lives rather than taking away from those we consider enemies. If that makes sense.
I understand. And the reason I was gung-ho for yesterday is, one, the Kenku, and unfortunately just the Kenku. But was it Tick or was it was Tick, right?
Heck.
Tick is the Kenku, Tak
Yeah.
was the Tabaxi.
I mean, Tick alone made that job agreeable. Like, that was worth my time. Again, the crystal is also worth the effort because that is a direct hit to the slave trade. But while I would agree, back to Rin's point of things, I mean, the other jobs we've taken, they do affect in the bigger picture. Not to mention, the jobs do pay well. I mean, look at you. Not that any of us here are really here for the material possessions, but they do make future jobs easier. Uh, you have a shield, you have a cloak. These are both considerably imbued with magic that will make our jobs in the future easier. They serve a purpose, is what I am saying.
It is fair enough.
If you're
I-
single-minded about any one task, you'll miss the details to either side.
Agreed.
That is where being in a team is so helpful, for I find if I try to consider all angles, I may find my attention too divided and end up getting nothing done. There is, I'm not quite ready to take on either an Emir or a Sultan. I'm still
Well,
not.
of course not. Don't be ridiculous. None of us are. However, it is something to work toward. There's
I would-
plenty of the command structure that is within our grasp.
Going after wealthy and political figures is very delicate.
Well, no shite. I make a business out of it, don't I?
Your business somewhat eludes me, but I almost wonder if it is not better that way.
To say the least. What matters is that he's
I-
good at it.
Yes, let's just go with that.
Uh, that sort of brings me to another topic I feel we need to discuss.
Oh, good. Oh, God. This bodes well.
Darian kind of looks at Rin because he's not sure which one she's referring to.
So far, all of our altercations have ended in deaths of those opposed to us. I will not pass judgment on whether or not any of those were unjustified. However, moving forward, I think it is important to establish some boundaries.
Okay.
I am not going to impose any boundaries on either of you.
Oh, thank you. I hate being put
do
in the
not.
boat.
I do not pretend to be any great authority on matters of morality, merely a student. But I think it is important to at least have a common consensus or knowledge of where the line is. Killing people who become inconvenient for us is, I feel, too far. And if we simply go with our instincts or our feelings in the moment, there is a slippery slope in how easily it can become to justify killing as an option.
I feel that it is my turn to say that you are speaking in circles.
Are you serious right now? I was about to do a whole bit about getting on a pin that says Captain Obvious.
So, what do you suggest?
A pin? I don't know, maybe brass?
If you're asking me where I would draw the line with killing, I would prefer to hear it from both of you first. I don't want to sound high and mighty or
Too late.
commanding. I respect your opinions and would like to hear you out first.
Well, that one probably doesn't take too much issue with it, considering that that is most likely his business on the day to day.
Darian, I would appreciate if you spoke for yourself and not Rin.
I was going to. I was simply making a point that I understand yours, but uh, I don't know. I some of the side work I've done in the past regarding freeing slaves. Um, Sometimes you do need to deal with the problem before it becomes one. I am not uh I don't know what school of wizard it is, but I am not in the business of modifying memories.
Enchantment.
Thank you.
Enchantment.
I did not grow up in the school of enchantment. Which is it enchantment that's illegal in the city? It's charming people. Is that the same category or
Enchantment,
In
yeah.
most of the populaces in most of the world, Thrall, enchantment is a highly focused on by the political
regulated?
figures. It's very regulated.
Enchantment magic is certainly looked after and regulated. I did not teach myself growing up such magic. I am not in the business of modifying people's memories. So again, sometimes it's easier to solve a solution before it arises. So I would think that it kind of depends on the context and the situation. If we are referring to the cave
I-
incident, I see your point. That may have been overzealous, but there was a lot of tension that night.
As I've said before, I am not casting any judgments on any prior work we've done together. And I realized the question was perhaps too broad and too vague. Perhaps phrasing it more in the way of, are we casting judgment based on what they have done, what they have the potential to do, or just immediate risks?
I would say all of the above. I mean, s- um, I mean, the night that I freed not Rin, the night that I freed Zephyr and Rain, I buried a man in a matter of seconds. He was an abusive slave driver. I didn't ask him. I didn't discuss with him. I didn't offer to purchase them off of him. I simply killed him. Whether or not that was justified, I think it was. And look at the life that I have provided for them. They do not work in the fields all day, being whipped or being spit on and forced to serve in some regal palace, and then only to dwell within the slums when they go home for the day, if they get to go home for the day. They live a normal life, as normal as they can at least. So I feel that that was justified.
I see.
My point is, it depends.
I see. Rin?
I am not going to
thoughts?
lie. This seems like the stupidest bloody conversation I've ever been a part of. Life is really fucking simple. Don't go running around with a big knife chasing down random people and stabbing them to death, eh? However, if the dumbass is being a risk to you, you fucking kill him. It's quite simple. A plus B.
I have to agree with him.
How is this hard to intuit?
Liberty's face is a very neutral mask at the moment.
Look, Liberty, I don't expect a woman of the cloth to condone such actions, but if you're going to work against the governing and you're going to do the things we do, you can't just dip your toe in the water. You have to recognize that some threats you can't just pay them no mind. And if that means doing certain things, then you have to do them.
Why are we dancing in
Forgive
circles?
me,
If
I
we're
am
stealing
afraid.
horses from someone because we're half dead and need to go get medical attention, we're not going to stab the damn shepherd. But if a damn fucker's shooting arrows at us, hell yeah, I'm chucking a knife his way.
Yeah, I mean, take the Bar Knight, for
I'm
example.
sorry. Sorry. Could you repeat that when Dari and I didn't actually
I said exactly, take the Bar Knight, for example.
the bar night the night we all met?
Yes,
There is a difference between gratuitous violence and necessary violence.
exactly.
I should think as adults we can all see that.
I mean, take the backyard, for example. There's a third example, fourth example.
Oh, for fuck's sake. You and your
Actually, I think
fucking
there's 4 examples out there.
Mr. calling you the Bone Lord.
I'm
You have to
afraid to
speak up, Forge.
ask
I didn't catch what you said.
why.
Trust me, you don't want me to repeat it.
Okay.
Correct me. Darian does not want me to repeat it.
Dari and
The
I am
editor will
afraid
make a
to
note
even
of that.
ask why the backyard is
Oh,
as it
this'll
is.
be good.
Uh,
I'm afraid that I have come across as judgmental, which was not my intention. I do not ask these things because I am concerned that you men are out of control. So if that seemed to be my
Don't box
implication,
me and Rim becomes a woman.
well, it kind of does. But I understand your concern, but I
Darian,
think you need to
I,
realize that it's kind of the way things are.
Mother, give me the word, give me wisdom. Darian, my concern is less. DM, that's just not nice. Why are you like this? I'm gonna lose it. Wait. Darian, my concern is for myself and my own lack of control. I know myself well enough to know that if I am not careful to set boundaries, it becomes a slippery slope. If I do not set clear boundaries for myself, it is easy for me to justify the next thing and the next thing. And
Okay, sweetheart. Again, can I emphasize? Common sense goes a long way in the murder field.
I'm afraid common sense was something I have lacked in, for several years, and in recent days it seems to be my shortcoming.
Well, get your head out of your house and smell the roses. It's not hard to figure out what the difference between right and wrong.
That is something about you that I envy. Well, I feel as strange as this conversation has been, I think I have my answer, and I think it is satisfactory for now at least. I had thought to perhaps reach out to Keeper Najin and see if she has any word on something more directly helpful that we could do as far as releasing some slaves or something of that nature.
If that's the discussion you wish to have with her, I will join you. That is my primary investment as well.
As it happens, loves, I've already been doing a bit of research into the other thing that we mentioned. And Rin throws her notebook on that little brown book onto the table that she was looking at earlier. And it is it looks somewhat like a tier list, but there's names written to each and every each branch, and next to each and the names are fairly recognizable as significant political figures and stuff like that.
This is well detailed. Is this a sort of blacklist?
No,
Well,
no, I
I
just made it.
okay.
The
Well,
hill is a blacklist. It's made with black ink.
I never mind. So what is your
Different
little book then?
forms of common.
What'd you say, Hobbit?
Different kinds of common.
Different forms of common. That's now Liberty's shorthand for
Yeah.
like reminding
Different
Darian to have patience with Rin.
amongst other people. Okay, let me
Yes.
rephrase the question. What are we looking at?
A list.
Liberty.
Uh, Darian, given the length of some of these names, I would assume they are fairly important individuals. You've lived on this side of the city for a while and are obviously of higher social standing than I.
Well, I
You
recognize about a
do
third
you
of them, but that
recognize any of
doesn't tell
these
me
names?
anything. I recognize about a third of them, that doesn't tell me anything.
Rin points to the title of the list that says people we need to kill to get to the Emir/Sultan.
That's literally what you labeled it?
Yep.
I thought
Of course
were
you wouldn't
supposed to
lead with
be the
that.
one.
Well, if I knew that was written there.
I'm sorry. You're going to label the list that, and you're going to mock him for Ezekiel?
Yeah. Ezekiel's a fake name. And a bad one.
You're just going to label your plan like that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And she scribbles it out and writes it backwards.
Okay, I don't speak Thieves' Cant, but I can still read that. Maybe just not titling it.
Why wouldn't I title it? What if it gets lost?
Then it'll look like a grocery list.
Why would I want it to look like a grocery
I'm going to
list? What if
murder
I
this
try and
man.
buy something with it?
Bryn, remember how
Yeah.
we discussed that we were going to try a little bit harder to get along?
But it's so easy sometimes.
Then that means you'll need to put in more effort.
That is what it.
You're all boring.
I was going to make a joke and say it's like, well, at least I'm the. At least two of us are okay with killing, but that's probably not tasteful for Darian at the moment.
No.
Well, has you said you just wrote this out?
Well, last night.
So Najin has not seen this.
Of course not. You think I'd bring her in on a plan like this without some appropriate secret keeping?
Appropriate secret keeping, like writing the title of the list.
Aye? Your point?
Just seems a bit redundant.
Well, you'd know all about that, wouldn't you, Mr. Too Many Words?
At least I think before I act.
Sometimes. Lightning bolt.
No, I thought
Oh!
about it. I decided
Oh!
that is what I wanted to
Ouch.
do. I didn't know that that was something that happened.
Did you ask? So one of us did research, and ironically, it wasn't you.
Well, I thought it would be kind of worthy of note that if you did read something like that, you would have told me.
Did you ask?
We had asked you what you found. You certainly didn't mention it.
I will admit that was a faux pas on Kel's part.
And therefore, Rin's.
Nope, nope, that is absolutely not on Rin.
That Rin didn't mention that?
Nope, Rin didn't know it. Because Kel didn't know it. So Rin had nothing to do with it.
I am not hearing a difference.
You wouldn't.
Oof.
That was a better comeback than the lightning bolt. It's when he doesn't put in the effort that he gets better burns.
Liberty has been staring silently at the list for a long time and then points to one of the longer names. And Orin, what can you tell me about this one? Alif Nasir Hidar Jahin Kadir.
Okay, DM, sweep me away with your narrative storytelling.
Take me away.
Take me away.
Sing us a song, you're the piano man.
So I just pasted the name into the Tales of Venthrall Discord chat because it is one of those long ass O'Haran names.
Naturally.
Alif Nasir Hidar Jahin Kadir.
Alif Kadir
Gesundheit.
is
Nice one.
Oh wait, no, you didn't correct me. Never mind. I got it right. Awesome.
no, I just said the first and last one because
Yeah, no, I thought you were correcting me.
Right now. It's like almost 11 p.m. I had a long day at work. I'm not reading that full name.
You were also up to 2 a.m. last night, weren't you, bud?
Shut up. Listen, I can't help how much D&D I play. Anyways, Alif
I just
Kadir
asked to be on the same ship.
is a member of the Emir's council. He is a high-ranking semi-military figure. He doesn't actually serve, but he has command over at least a section of the troops in the city. He's more. How do I explain this? He's a majorly glorified clerk, but definitely one of the people who like holds together the payment and the some of the deployment of the emir's town's guard.
I relay that.
So he's dispatch
Interesting.
and a bookkeeper.
He's higher than that, but functionally, yes.
Okay.
He's a lot higher than that. He's like actually part of the council.
Well, thankfully, the members of the council are not exactly Hydra. But
That joke sucked even from a modern standpoint.
that wasn't really a joke. That was more of a point.
Careful when that fourth wall is getting really thin.
My point being is that taking out the target at this rank, that high, is it won't be easy, but it would certainly prove an instant result, at least for a couple of days, if not a few weeks.
Has he been very active recently? Sorry, let me try speaking up here. Has he been recently is he a violent man? The name, I feel I've heard the name perhaps a couple of years ago. I thought I heard something tragic happened to him. But news from this side of the city often gets scrambled, exaggerated, and warped by the time it makes it across the river. So perhaps I'm remembering incorrectly.
Either Rin or Darian can make a history check. Or either of you can.
I have
Either
rolled
slash both.
a 17.
Okay.
Forgetting that it's alphabetical order with all the bonuses. Total of 23.
Okay. Rin, you are aware that he ended up having to take an extended leave a little while ago, and that did end up reaching you mostly because the efficiency of guard deployment was a lot less during that time, and you were able to actually take advantage of that for a bit.
I relay that.
With your information, however, Darian, you're aware that Alif Kadir suffered a great loss. If I am not mistaken, it was around a year to a year and a half ago, approximately.
Define the type of loss.
His whole household, wife, kids, servants, were all killed in what seems to be an intentional arson attack.
How long ago did you say that was, Rin? All the disorganization? When he took the leave of absence, when was that?
7 years.
It would have been the same time period.
Okay, assuming he relays that. Actually, that makes sense. From what I had heard, his entire family and home. Someone committed grand arson, and they all died. I would assume he probably took the time off to grieve. But if they were that disorganized just with him being gone a week or two, then imagine if they had to try to replace him instantly if he were to disappear.
He has already suffered so much. Is it right of us to punish him further?
Well, I understand in that context that probably seems implied, but uh, disappear does not necessarily mean killing, always. If you find a good enough threat, some people will willingly leave town and not come back. But then again, someone who has lost so much may be harder to convince to leave what he has left.
That I worry that for a man who's lost that much, he either has nothing left to lose and therefore there is no bargaining with him, or he has already lost so much that we are only cruel by inflicting further pain on him.
Well, hopefully we won't have to deal with the first. But that is my concern. Drin,
Uh,
opinion?
what do I know of his temperament? Particularly towards slavery.
Particularly towards slavery with a 17. His opinion on slavery is pretty similar to a lot of people's in the hierarchy. There are a few sympathizers of the Tiefling and the Tabaxi, some with the thought process of these people didn't even lose a war, they don't deserve to be slaves, or were taking away people's freedom, and that's kind of a big deal. The rest of them, however, end up buying into different psychologies and propaganda about how the Tabaxi are literally a new race and require guidance and a firm and guiding hand, and that has bled over to the Tieflings as well, as they are desert nomads.
With the 23?
With the 23, yeah, no, pretty much the same. He's also kind of an ass. There are few people that high up who aren't assholes.
Fair enough.
Eat the rich.
Eat the rich. Eat the rich.
Eat the rich. Eat the rich. Yeah, this is definitely not Jacob's actual personal opinion on politicians and people of high position. No,
What?
it
No, we're
isn't.
not making political commentary here. No, sir. This is a desert
We're
setting.
just
This has
enjoying our
nothing to do with
fantasy
anything.
escapism.
Political commentary in a D&D podcast? What is this?
I'm gonna sidebar real quick on that remark. Have you guys seen XP to Level 3's recent one that makes the joke about all the puns?
Yes, it
And
was
he, like-
so good.
It was, and he like ends the video with like, "Wow, I hope no one takes this and gets mad about it."
It was really good. Anyways, he ended up garnering a lot of sympathy from the populace around the time of the tragedy because of the tragedy. He seemed to bounce back, however, and was at his job within a few months. Things resumed as normal, and very little has been heard about him since.
I relay that.
The rest of that was Darian.
Oh, I relay what I know.
So what's his official stance then?
On tieflings and slavery, he, like most people in that area, he's for it because it keeps the city wealthy, and has not taken any strong political stances either for or against it.
Okay.
No need to disrupt the economy.
Um, look, the fact of the matter is, slavery is instated because of those in power, and those who help run it don't typically go against it, especially when it puts gold in their
And
pockets.
do we have a plan for what we do after eliminating some of these people? The current emir and the current sultan did not invent slavery, and men of great political power and wealth have come and gone for generations. The vacuum is always filled with more of the same kind.
Rin, you're looking at the bigger picture here. What do you think?
Liberty, are you familiar? Oh God, I'm going French for some reason.
Are you familiar?
Are you familiar? Uh, are you familiar with the concept of a sin eater?
Is that
The
like the snake that
player
eats its tail?
is
No,
no, that's
it's a real life thing that existed.
I as a player have no idea what you're talking about, so I don't even know whether this would be something that Liberty would be
This
familiar
isn't
with.
something Liberty would have run into either.
Okay,
Did you call it a sin
that makes that
eater?
easier.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna say no.
This is a new name to me.
In some of the more nomadic tribes, a sin eater is someone who will take the sins of one of the recently departed and basically take it upon themselves so that the departed may go on to a better afterlife.
What happens to him?
He must pay the debt.
So the whole purpose is that one goes and does
One
that.
sacrifices for themselves so that others may have better than they have.
Interesting. So what, does the one person then become condemned when he passes?
Condemned until they can pass off, either pass on their sin or recover it.
I wonder.
No one is irredeemable in their eyes, so a sin eater is not doomed to a terrible fate. They are there to make sure that everyone has an equal shot at going on to a better life after they pass on.
An interesting concept.
Quite.
Beautiful sentiment. I'm not sure I quite follow how this would apply here. Are you suggesting
These people are the sin eaters, and they are hardly guiltless already. I know for a fact that at least most of them have done at least a little to maintain slavery's current potency in this damnable place.
Well,
certainly? And do you have a plan to replace them with someone who would make the necessary changes?
I do.
And what
You've
would
met
that
her.
look like?
are you
Keeper
suggesting Najim?
Najim. Why do you think I've been so willing to work with her?
You want
Do
to
you think she should?
install the leader of a thieves guild as the monarch of a city, like a city of this size of corso.
Absolutely.
Well, with help maybe, but
You
think
think
she
that
should
you think
be
that the current
running the
emir
country?
is any better? He's certainly not any less guiltless.
I suppose.
So it's
I'm sorry, I might have been my audio sync, but basically I had Darian and Rin speaking at the same time, so I didn't understand either of you.
this Irish isn't working.
Sorry.
Basically
Go
she said,
Cockney.
"Oh God, no."
No, it's hard
Come on,
enough
Liza
as it
Doolittle.
is.
Hello.
Darian would not have the mental capacity for it. Please don't.
Nah, I've got standards, damn it.
You could go French.
I've got standards, damn it. No, not French.
Southern.
I don't know. I'll keep beta testing.
Keep workshopping.
But basically, Rin said that the emir might has about the same amount of blood on his hands, or the emir and the sultan, rather.
Well, like I was saying earlier, if you were to cut off a head of the council, then anyone beneath him would flounder, at least for a while. But if you were to bring the pillars themselves down, that is a different story.
Precisely. And add to that a ruthless yet sympathetic a ruthless leader that's also sympathetic to our cause, and we've got something going here.
I don't know. I am still not comfortable with the events that led to yesterday. Even if that was Tack's fault in the slightest.
Keeper Najin does seem to care more for the most misfortunate in the city, at least within her sphere of influence. It may not be the exact actions I would take, but she at least takes some action to see that they have purpose and opportunity. Darian, I know you especially were angry about the risk that the children were put under. I may have come across as scolding, but as someone who has lived on the streets before, what she is offering them is still a far cry better than what they would find on their own.
I understand that, but it
I
seems
don't know
ridiculous
whether
they
she
ended
will
up in
make
that
this world.
situation in the first place.
I don't know if she can make this world safer, but
She should take better care to know which jobs she is sending them on.
perhaps she's learned from this experience.
You can't always know what you're sending someone into. You can only hope that it's as safe as possible. That was the risk that Keeper Machine took, and it didn't work out.
I understand that.
If she is too firm with them, the line between guardian or employer and master becomes blurry. Yes, they are children, but children grow up faster on the streets. To take away their choice, even if it is for their safety,
I get
runs
it.
the risk of taking away their personhood.
I get it.
I
So, what do we wish to discuss with her then? What are we planning on doing? Do we want to tell her we are looking to find more jobs regarding Tiefling and Tabaxi? Or are we going to bring her, Darian gestures to the booklet in front of him. Are we going to bring this to her? What is the plan?
am not ready to commit to that. She gestures to the book. Not without a lot more prayer and consideration.
We can definitely sit on that.
I would like to see what opportunities she can bring to our awareness of perhaps tieflings or tabaxis that can be set free, or aid we can bring to those on the streets.
I agree. Well, we can wait on that. That will certainly take timing anyway. Rin, could you please find somewhere decent to keep that book? I don't want someone walking into my... I don't want the guard showing up on my porch because they found that on the dining table.
If they're on your porch, why would they see it on the dining table?
If they're on my porch, they'll find their
Yeah.
way into the house. Their guards, they don't care about which laws they trample over. Although I suppose that if they're in the house, they're probably in the backyard.
Are you going to do something about that?
Yes, I will probably bury them a bit more properly. I thought that was a good idea. It's taking a bit longer than I had hoped.
Taking a bit longer to do what?
He wants
I-
bones. He wants to be the bone man.
I'm not sure what that means. Darian,
Different types of common. I thought the birds would
I bet
take
you
care of
just feel so proud of yourself, don't you? God damn it, Jacob.
oh, good, you're caught up.
And you were afraid of us taking advantage of it.
Anyway.